Hello travelers! As I mentioned in my banner roadmap video, we're expecting some exciting new changes in the upcoming banners. Today, we're going to discuss all the changes you can expect, as well as the updated banner roadmap from version 5.2 to 5.4. So, if you're curious about the new characters, you might want to pull in the future and want to save your primogems ahead of time for your favorite character, then you've landed on the perfect video. Now, without wasting any more time, let's dive into the banner lineup. Starting off with version 5.2, as many of you already know, we're getting two new characters, Chaska and Oro-Rown. Chaska is an Anemo 5-star bow character with a playstyle where she can change her elements into Cryo, Electro, Pyro, and Hydro. Aside from that, she can also fly on something like a huge cannon or gun. And not only that, but she can fly even longer than Wanderer. When I first saw her gameplay, I genuinely thought that she might not be a good DPS, as she deals damage based on swirling reactions, and her own damage is kind of low compared to other DPS characters like Xiao and Wanderer. But I guess I was wrong. Although her own damage might look a little bit low, but she actually buffs all the swirling reaction damage. And not to mention that we're also getting a buff to all 4 of the elemental reactions, which include Superconduct, Shatter, Electrocharged, and Overload. That's the reason why Chaska deals way more damage, even though her own damage is kinda low. Anyway, leaving that aside, the other character we're getting with Chaska is Oro-Rown, a 4-star tall Electro bow user. Now, before some people say something about Oro-Rown being a 4-star instead of a 5-star, well, there's a reason for that. If Oro-Rown were to be a 5-star, it would mean that 90% of the characters from Natlan would be 5 stars, leaving very few 4 stars. So, I guess to balance things out, Hoyoverse might have made him a 4-star. Now let's discuss the potential reruns in the first phase of version 5.2. We can expect Chaska along with Oro-Rown as a 4-star, with Liney joining as the rerun candidate for the first phase. In the second phase, we're expected to see Zhongli as the Arcane rerun. For a while, it was speculated that Wanderer might rerun since he's going to be the main highlight of the flagship event in version 5.2. But recently, a reliable source, Fowl, suggested that the flagship event of 5.2 is expected to happen in Natlan. And yes, it will still feature Wanderer, but he's not getting a rerun, as Neuvillette is confirmed to have his rerun here. So, if we gather all the info, we can expect Chaska and Liney in the first phase, followed by Neuvillette and Zhongli in the second. This lineup has been confirmed by several reliable sources, so there's a good chance we'll see the same results in the livestream too. Also, we have some good and bad news related to 5.2. The good news is that we're getting an Arcane quest in 5.2. Now, if you remember, the devs themselves mentioned we wouldn't be seeing an Arcane quest this patch, but with the sheer amount of content in 5.2, I guess it makes sense to fit one in here. The bad news, though, is that we won't be getting the bonus 500 primogems with a 5.2 Arcane quest, as the devs announced that the reward would only apply in versions 5.0, 5.1, and 5.3. Now let's talk about the new characters we can expect in patch 5.3. In 5.3, we're expected to see 2 new 5-star characters, Mauvika and Sitlali. As for their kit details, I discussed them in my previous video, but I'll say it again. For Mauvika, it seems that she's a 5-star version of Dea and Shangling. Mauvika's elemental skill has 2 versions. When you press or tap her elemental skill, she summons Pyro Cannon that deal off-field Pyro damage, and shoots fireballs toward enemies, similar to other off-field Pyro characters like Shangling. But if you hold her elemental skill instead of pressing it, she gets Pyro Infusion and deals Pyro-based damage as a main DPS, like Arlecchino and Dea. So by pressing or tapping her skill, she can be a support, and by holding it, she becomes a DPS. As for her burst, it is said that she can provide consistent off-field damage while buffing the team and giving interruption resistance. Also, there's a basic attribute boost, making everyone on the team glitter with rainbows as Mauvika uses her elemental burst. As for her exploration mechanics and abilities, it is said that upon holding her elemental skill, her weapon crushes into pieces and turns into a motorcycle as part of her exploration ability. On top of that, she can jump on the motorcycle like Kachina and Xianyun, and it changes into a glider when she's in the air, similar to Chaska's gun. She can even run on water and do hook shots like Kenich. So, in general, she seems to have all the abilities of every character from Natlan. Doesn't that sound a bit fishy? At first, I was a bit salty about Mauvika's motorbike, but after seeing Chaska's flying cannon or gun, I wouldn't be surprised if Mauvika's exploration ability really does turn out to be a motorbike. And if it does turn out to be true, I swear every F2P player will have to switch to Dolphin mode to get her. Seriously, Hoyoverse is making it harder day by day, releasing so many power creeps at once. Now, some of you are asking about Mauvika's constellations. Well, here it is. According to reliable sources, it's said that Mauvika is going to play a sub-DPS or DPS role. Similar to Raiden Shogun, at her C2 and C4 constellations, she will lean more toward a supportive role and is said to have incredible synergy with the Traveler. As we know, the Traveler is also set to debut in version 5.3. But what we do know for sure is that she's going to be the next strongest Pyro character with a powerful kit. Also, in 5.3, we're expected to see the debut of the Pyro Traveler. Since the Traveler's abilities are usually locked behind the story, we might finally get to see him unlock his Pyro abilities in this version. Now let's talk about Citlali. The only thing we know is that she'll be a Cryo Catalyst character who has shielding capabilities and can deal off-field damage like Ganyu and Layla. Next, let's discuss the potential reruns we can expect in patch 5.3. In Phase 1, we're confirmed to get Mauvika. As for the rerun candidate, it said we'll see Xianyun alongside Mauvika. As for the second phase, we can expect Citlali alongside Shenhe in 5.3. Also, we're expected to see the return of the Chronicle Wish banner in 5.3. At first, when I heard this, I couldn't believe it because, obviously, how can Hoyoverse put so many things in one patch? I speculated that instead of 5.3, the Chronicle Wish would be in 5.2. But with the sheer amount of contents coming in 5.2, I think 5.3 suits the Chronicle Wish best. Plus, reliable sources suggest that this time the Chronicle Wish banner will be Liyue themed, featuring all the 5-star Liyue characters. Now, moving on to the new characters in version 5.4. In the first phase of 5.4, we're expected to see Madame Ping, also known by her Adeptus name, Streetward Rambler, as a new playable character. As for her kit, at first, it was said that she'd be a 5-star Hydro user, but some other sources suggest she might be an Anemo user with a playstyle based on plunging like our little Xiao. Personally, I think it's still early, and this is highly subject to change, so stay speculative. As for the rerun candidate joining Madame Ping, it's said to be either Milani or Yellen. In the second phase of version 5.4, it said we'll see Riotsly as the rerun candidate, followed by Farina as the Archon rerun. In this patch, I've seen a lot of people mentioning Venti's return in 5.4, but honestly, that doesn't make much sense to me. Since 5.5 will feature the flagship event in Mondstadt, it feels much more likely that Venti's rerun will happen then. Recent sources also suggest that 5.4 will feature only one new 5-star, leaving the rest for reruns. So, that's all the latest banner info we have right now. Let me know in the comments which character you're most excited for and want to pull in the upcoming versions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.